and you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Uh, yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
It's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
This questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by Austin, the believer in yourself king.
I appreciate that. I hold true with that, and I think every player who is about to get a contract should believe in themselves and do what Aaron Judge is doing and Juan Soto is doing. So we'll have to see, but today's an NFL episode. What have you been thinking?
Yeah, so we're just going to do brief talk about the Tua injury. I think they fired the guy who said that it wasn't a concussion, and then it was just a sad thing to see him carted off the field. And hopefully he gets better, and it looks like the NFL is changing their policies, which I think there's not much we can talk about, but I think the NFL does need to look at their policies because they're like, Tua, it's a back injury. And I was like, no, I don't think so. When someone's having trouble, when he fell the way he did, to me, I'm like, there's something up with his head. So those are my thoughts. Like, the NFL needs to do better because of just the past of how concussions were handled and like how Rob Gronkowski has talked about his head injuries. So I hope they do better, and as they are working on it with the NFLPA. What are your thoughts?
I blame the Dolphins more than I blame the doctor because I feel like he was probably pressured. It's a huge game against a division rival. He was probably pressured to put Tua back on the field, and they were looking for almost any excuse to put him back on the field. So I'm not really should he have done that? No. Obviously, the guy should have stuck to his wits and said he's out. He doesn't look great. However, I truly do believe that it's not entirely on him and the team as a whole. The Dolphins have a responsibility to their players to be honest and caring for their health, as any good team should do.
Yeah, I agree, and hopefully that's something the NFL can fix where doctors are not put in the position where they are pressured and they can go, this guy should not go back into the game, and the team can affect that. But now I think we can move on to just other injuries. Javonte Williams out with an ACL. I can't remember someone else. I know Williams. Sterling Shepard happened. That happened a few weeks ago. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Am I forgetting with the injuries?
There's Jonathan Taylor, who has a high ankle sprain. I don't know when he's going to return.
And
Javonte Williams.
But Brian Hoyer. Well, that was concussion, but Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So, I think that we're just going to see how teams rebound and their depth chart. But we will have to see. I know there are some people that came back. Zach Wilson came back, led his team to a win against the Steelers. Steelers are 1-3. How do you feel about them right now?
I don't like bringing in rookies mid-game. I feel like giving him a full week of practice before is definitely the best way to go. And while maybe it wasn't the worst thing in the world, as he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, he also threw 3 picks. He did not play particularly well, and I definitely believe that it would have been beneficial for him to get a full week of practice. What are your thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah, I was very intrigued. Like, I'm like, okay, you're pulling out Trubisky. I thought it was a matter of time because Trubisky hadn't really. It just looked like the offense wasn't doing well, and Tomlin said he wanted a
Again,
spark.
I don't think Trubisky was the issue. Their offensive coordinator's horrendous. Trubisky threw a pick last game. It went through Deontay Johnson's hands, like right through his hands. And I don't think Trubisky's at fault. And that's why I don't necessarily like the situation that Kenny Pickett's in right now, because I feel like he's going to be placed blame on if they struggle on offense, which I definitely think they will. Therefore, it could be a negative for his career, potentially. Hopefully it won't be, but we won't know until we see.
Yeah. On an off note, would you watch a TikTok if I sent it to you for future reference? Because there was a funny TikTok of Steelers fans.
Yes,
Okay.
I would watch it.
It was Steelers fans, Mitch Trubisky, 2 picks. Oh man, he's terrible. He's terrible. Then Kenny Pickett, 3 picks in the second half. Nah, he's just learning. He's just learning. Nothing to worry about. So
That's pretty funny because it's true.
it was true. And that was actually after I heard a Steelers fan saying, hey, the 3 picks, they're fine. He's just learning. To me, there are other issues just with the offense, and maybe Kenny Pickett did provide a spark, but not sure. Defensively, they're just missing TJ Watt. So it's not looking good for Mike Tomlin's losing record of never having one, because they have a tough set of games, as I believe they face the Bills, and then the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, again, look, I support throwing a rookie into the fire at the beginning of a season, being like, hey, quarterback, we're going to give you the entire offseason, you're our number one, and then throw him into the fire. Trevor Lawrence has rebounded well. I know he had a bad week this past week, but previous to that, he's played well, and they basically threw him in the fire, like I said, and I think that's honestly the best way to do it if he has an entire offseason. But now, mid-season, obviously mid-game versus Jets, and now he's going against 2 great teams. Even without Tua, the Dolphins are much better than the Steelers. So this getting thrown into the fire like this, I think, like I said, could be a real negative against his career and his growth.
It's actually worse the next 2 games, because it goes Bills, Bucks, then Dolphins.
Oh, wow. And the Bills and Bucks have 2 of the best defenses in the league. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I definitely believe that it wasn't necessarily the greatest move that they made. I'll have to see moving forward if I believe it does affect or has affected him. But I don't know. I have to see. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how it works out too. They should get TJ Watt back. Not sure, but there are some things that I want to look at. We're week 4, so almost a quarter. We are a quarter technically,
No,
or a fourth.
because there's 18
That's a
weeks.
quarter. Oh, they're 18 weeks. Okay. So it'd have to be
So
week 5.
week 5 will be around a quarter.
Okay. Well, I think we're around the time where we can start figuring out what teams are real, which ones are fake. Because I think 4 weeks, it will get better, but I think you can see glimpses like Bucks or the Chiefs. They're just some week, and the Packers just had one rough game where they gave up a loss. Packers week 1. Last week it was the Chiefs with the Colts, where the Colts, I believe they lost again to the Titans.
They did. Their offense is terrible. Matt Ryan played really well. I know he may have thrown a pick and maybe his stat line, but I watched the highlights. He looks good. The issue is their offense is terrible. He doesn't have many receivers. He threw to Mo Alley Cox a lot. He had 2 touchdowns. Great game from Mo Alley Cox. But there's not many receivers for him. And when Jonathan Taylor is struggling and maybe hurt, this team is not going to do well if they cannot get it together. And I'm worried for the future. Another team that I'm still worried about, even though they're 2-2 is the 49ers. Because of that game against the Broncos, it scares me. And their loss against the Bears as well. What do you make of the 49ers?
I think you can throw them into contender because of just how weak the NFC is. Or no one has really separated themselves in the NFC.
Also, I just want to say something real quick. Do you know who leads the league in picks by himself?
Oh, is it Stafford? Stafford has
Yeah.
been rough.
He's been terrible. And Goff has been amazing. And like I said, I always believed that Goff could have won the championship last year with the Rams as their starting QB. And it holds true. Goff was not the reason why they lost in 2018. Their offensive game plan was terrible. And I don't believe, obviously, I believe that the Bengals got cheated as there was not a pass interference area. It would have been 4th down. And I don't think they would have got it. I believe the Bengals should have won that game, but again, it's neither here nor there. And I think it's good to see Jared Goff having one of the best QB stat lines so far this season, and Stafford having one of the worst.
Yeah, it is Stafford. We'll have to look at next season.
And just imagine if he didn't have Kupp. Imagine if he didn't have Kupp.
You
would have no one. And
no
the Lions were out DJ Chark, Jameson Williams, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 of their top guys. And Goff throws for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. But the offensive line, to me, is also an issue on the Rams. And there's just no other pass catcher besides Kupp. And which
Higbee played well.
Robert Woods. Well, Higbee as well, but wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Yeah, Allen Robinson's played terrible. I love Allen Robinson. I drafted him in my fantasy league. I like me some Allen Robinson. He's played terrible. He dropped a touchdown pass against the Cardinals the week before last. He's just been subpar, and for a player who with Jacksonville and a couple of years with the Bears there being one of the best wide receivers in the league, in my opinion, he's really fallen back to earth, and I'm worried about this Rams team. No joke when I say this, and you may think I'm absolutely crazy. The Seattle Seahawks offense is better than the Rams offense. You can tell me I'm wrong if you believe I'm wrong.
It's definitely better.
Look, the Seahawks got destroyed by the 49ers 27-7. But again, the 49ers, I think, have a top 3 defense. Top 3 defenses right now, in my opinion, are Bucks, Bills, 49ers, and I put 4 Eagles, and then 5 probably Cowboys. That'd probably be my top 5. But
Cowboys do have a good defense.
Yeah, they do. That's the reason why they're staying alive with Cooper Rush. Even though I believe Cooper Rush is underrated, and I feel like people were overhating him even before the season started. Even with Dak, they would have started 3-1, and so the idea that some Cowboys fans are like, let's start Cooper Rush for the rest of the season, that is nonsensical and doesn't make much sense.
I'm glad we're in the same boat on that.
Yeah. Cooper Rush is playing really well. Look, Cooper Rush is doing his job. He deserves to be in the league. I feel like a lot of people were saying, like, why don't you sign this guy who's a free agent or this guy who's a free agent? No, they made the right choice.
I was in the camp of sign someone else, but Cooper Rush played well.
Look, he's played the entire offseason in the same system. He's been there before. He's won a game last year with against the Vikings. He deserves his role right now as the backup. That's obvious. No one's going to question that. He's done his job.
Yes.
But again, I feel like people are going crazy overboard. He's not better than Dak.
He's not. It's purely when you look at him throw and then you look at like Dak throws, you're like, yeah, no. But he has done just enough, and to me, that works.
He's done more than just enough.
Yeah, well, there are some plays where he's like gets him, but like
he's made some impressive throws. He's also made some terrible throws.
Yes, and he got
like
last week.
Yes, he shut on two picks. Yes. However, he's also made some great throws.
Yes. It's just like to me, there's something like I would like. There's some things he can do better.
Yeah. Here's what I'm gonna say. He's not a detriment to the team. He's not a reason. If they lose next week to the Rams, I don't believe it's gonna be his fault. It's just he can't do what Dak can. So while he's not a detriment, he's not entirely a positive in every aspect of the game. So if the Rams lose next week, it's panic time. Would you agree?
Yes. I'm
It-
very intrigued for Rams and Cowboys because if you look
I
at
think the Cowboys win. And here's why. Like you said, Rams offense is terrible, and Micah Parsons is the second best defensive lineman in the league. And that's not even a question.
Yeah,
like, you
number
can't
one's
put him
Donald.
above. Yeah, you can't put him above Donald.
I was trying to think if you were saying TJ Watt, but I was like,
No, I was
not
saying
Donald.
Donald. TJ Watt's hurt, so I don't want to. I don't
Oh.
even have TJ Watt because he's hurt. So
Cool.
I'd put, if both were healthy and playing well, I'd put Watt above Parsons. But
Yeah.
with Watt
Very
injured,
fair.
and I don't know how he's going to come back. Parsons, there's only a couple players on defense who I think would even have a remote chance of winning MVP. Parsons is one of those guys who, if the let's say Dak's out for an extended period of time or gets injured again, and this team finishes top 2 in the NFC, no joke, I would vote Micah Parsons as MVP. And you may think that's stupid, but Micah Parsons is the most important defensive player. And the reason why I say most important is Aaron Donald, I believe, has more help on that defense than Micah Parsons with the Cowboys. Even though Trayvon's starting to play better, I still don't trust him as a 1v1 ISO guy against a Mike Evans or against any of those major
I'm gonna
wide
push back
receivers.
against you.
But you're going to
like
say
I
the
said-
Jamar Chase game. That's what you're going to say, right?
No.
But listen, if you're going to say the Jamar Chase game, the rush was on Joe Burrow every time. It was Micah Parsons helping Trayvon Diggs, not Trayvon Diggs helping Micah Parsons.
Here's my thing. Like I said, I was so happy with Trevon, but to me, Trevon has taken a step of he's not taking as many chances.
You say that like the Giants play never happened when he tried to jump the route and they still made the catch.
Well, that was one. He's taking less chances than he did last year. He's still taking chances, but some of the plays he made against Terry McLaurin were amazing. And I also
But again,
against
the
Mike
offensive
Evans,
line
what
for
was
the
Mike Evans' stat line?
It wasn't great. But again, Tom Brady
And
had
he was-
missed most of the offseason, and they hadn't gotten back the chemistry that is necessary for a 45-year-old QB.
I'm gonna push back on that. He only gave up one touchdown to Mike Evans, and I'm gonna go.
You know the reason why they didn't throw to Mike Evans as much is because Leonard Fournette had 127 rushing yards and a touchdown. You guys were getting torched on the run, so they didn't have to throw the ball as much.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that, but I don't want to spend too much time on Cowboys. The other thing I do want to make is the defensive line. Also, Parsons is the leader of it, but I also think DeMarcus Lawrence has done great. I think
Again, I believe it's the factor of he's so good that you have to double team him, and so that means that someone else is going to get a 1v1, and maybe they win that 1v1. Wow, if Micah Parsons was not on this team, DeMarcus Lawrence is probably double teamed every play and is not making any plays, basically.
Yes, I think that's true, but I also do think DeMarcus Lawrence has played very well. I know he had a ton of pressures against the Giants. I think it was like 9 pressures, then maybe 7 pressures against. So I think DeMarcus Lawrence is a huge reason why the Cowboys defensive line is doing great with Parsons. Like now you have a two-headed monster of Parsons and Lawrence, and then you have Trevon in the back who's doing well, and then safeties are doing well. And Leighton Vander Esch has done well, and so is Anthony Barr. But I don't want to focus too much on the Cowboys. I'm very intrigued to see how the offense performs against this Rams defense, because how does Cooper Rush respond to this? To me, this is the biggest test of, can Cooper Rush start for other teams in the league? Because Cooper Rush is going to get paid no matter what this offseason. It's just, do people pay him like a backup QB or like a potential starter in the league?
Let me ask you this. What teams do you think are already panicking, like season over-esque panicking? I could name a couple. I'd say Colts. I'd say Broncos. I'd say Raiders. I'd say
Commanders.
Chargers. What?
Commanders.
That one's hard because the Eagles and Cowboys are really good. and their defenses are really good. So I need to wait a week before I say Commanders.
Okay, mine
Panic.
is going to be Carson Wentz. That's the way he has played the past few weeks.
But
Just
that's
your
again
offense
because he's
game.
going against great defenses.
But still,
It's
I'm
not,
gonna go.
but still,
I'm
Joe
gonna have
Burrow.
pushback.
Joe Burrow did not play well against the Cowboys at all.
Did he throw a pick?
I don't remember. All I know is he had like 13 fantasy points, which is terrible.
Well, yeah,
for a
that
QB.
was rough. But yeah, I'm just gonna go Commanders. I'm pushing the panic button because I think there is more to that offense that they thought Carson Wentz could open, because they do have a very good wide receiving core.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. I don't even have to name Scary Terry, but Logan Thomas is also great. J.D. McKissick's a great receiving back. They also have Antonio Gibson, who's a great running back. So they have offensive weapons. The issue is their O-line is terrible, besides Scherf. And so this team is struggling. Another team that I think is in major panic mode that I thought a lot of people thought were going to make the playoffs is the Saints.
Oh, I was gonna say Ravens. I've not gonna miss the playoffs, but I have concern.
Well, this is a
Concerns
huge
about
game
Ravens.
Sunday night. I can't wait for Sunday night. Bengals versus Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens just can't hold a lead, which is very
Concerning.
not Ravens
yeah.
of them.
Well,
'Cause their defense-
okay. Seahawks beat Saints this week. That happens. Just imagine it. How legit are the Seahawks? The Seahawks almost beat the Falcons, but the Falcons have played well. The Falcons beat the Browns. They've been close to every game. They lost to the Saints by 1. They lost to the Rams by 4, which is the reason why I don't think the Rams are all that good. The Rams beat the Falcons by 4. And the Falcons are 2-2. They beat the Browns. So the Seahawks losing to the Falcons isn't like a terrible loss. And obviously they got destroyed by the 49ers, but I think that's because the team was still growing and their defense has played terrible, but their offense has been insane. Let me just ask the question again. How legit are the Seahawks if they beat the Saints? They'll be 3-2.
Will they be leading the division?
Yes. If the Rams lose, yes.
Okay.
If the Rams and 49ers lose, and the 49ers play... Oh, the 49ers play the Panthers. They'll be tied with the 49ers, but technically be losing that because of head-to-head. But they'll be tied.
I don't know how, if we could say legit. Do you mean I can see him competing in the playoffs?
Every team in the NFC West is 2-2 right now. And I think the Seahawks are better than the Cardinals because I've seen a lot of issues with the Cardinals. The Cardinals were down for a... Better than the Cardinals? Yeah, the Cardinals almost lost to the Panthers last week. They were struggling the entire game.
They definitely have a better offense than the Broncos, where the Broncos' offense just does not look good. Russell Wilson has not looked good. And I know there's been passing yards, Geno Smith versus Russell Wilson, but I don't like passing yards. I go by how they look. And to me,
Geno throws.
Week 1.
Geno has thrown the best passing percentage through 4 starts of the season, through week 4 with all 4 starts ever. 77.3% completion percentage.
I know.
And
I wanted to hear your response to those stats of Geno Smith versus Russell Wilson.
Oh, Geno's played not only better, he's played otherworldly comparatively to Russ.
Yeah.
The Seahawks have the 4th most points in the NFC so far this season. 4th most points for. With 95. The issue is that their defense has given up 115, which is second worst. Only team worse is the Lions. The Lions had the most points for and the most points against. 140 points for, 141 points against.
Yeah. So, yeah. I thought the Lions looked good. So we can see.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked about the Saints.
It hurts to have Jameis Winston out, even though I do think Jameis is better than Andy Dalton.
Yes, he's better than Andy Dalton. But to me, I just didn't expect him because, especially under new coach Sean Payton, is not there, so I wasn't sure how their offense was going to do.
Kamara's had injury issues. Michael Thomas has had injury issues. I expect the Seahawks to win next week. Because I don't think the offense for the Saints can keep up. Will the Seahawks offense do as well? No, the Saints have a relatively good defense. But I expect the Seahawks to put up 20 points. And I don't know if the Saints put up 20 points. I know they put up 25 against the Vikings, who also don't have a good defense. But I think the Seahawks' confidence level right now is through the roof.
Yes, and it's very intriguing to see where they end up, because they do have problems on defense, and you could argue maybe Geno Smith is just a bridge QB, so maybe they don't get a high pick. And I know a lot of people before the season were like, hey, they're going to take Bryce Young.
They're not getting Bryce Young at this point.
Well, yeah. I don't know who the leading teams are. No, the Giants aren't up there because they're 3-1.
Right now, the worst team in the league, the only team without a win is the Texans at 0-3-1. And then there's a boatload of teams at 1-3, including the Steelers, Patriots, Raiders, Commanders, Lions, Saints, and Panthers.
Yeah. So what else? So we talked about AFC. NFC, I'm not going to panic about the Bucs. I thought they showed some improvement on offense. They got some people back. It was just Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes showed you why he's one of the top leagues.
Sometimes there's nothing you can do. And the Bucs have a great offense and great defense when they're healthy. I think the Bucs offense is still one of the best in the league when fully healthy. Because you have Tom Brady and Mike Evans, and Mike Evans is insane. You have Chris Godwin, you have Julio Jones, who's struggled this year, but I still think he can get up to a point to be serviceable as a wide receiver 3. You have Russell Gage, Leonard Fournette, Rashad White, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I am worried to the effect that I don't know if they can beat many of these AFC teams. Do I think the Seahawks have a serious chance of making the playoffs? Yes. I would give them around a 40% chance of making the playoffs, which I believe is a serious chance.
That sounds fair. Given just how, because you have wild card.
Yeah, there's 7 teams that make it.
Just open. Well, yeah, they have plenty of chances.
Let me ask you this. Last thing about the Seahawks, so we don't talk about one team for too long.
No, you're cool. They're not getting enough attention, so cool.
Okay. What do the Seahawks have to do to prove to you that they are a legit contender for the division or a playoff spot?
Let's look at their. So you said they play the Saints.
Then they play the Cardinals. And then the Chargers, Giants, Cardinals, Bucks, bye, Raiders, Rams, Panthers, 49ers, Chiefs, Jets.
I need to see how they compete against the Chargers. And then, because I don't know how I feel about the Vikings. If they win it, or no, Cardinals. I'm not sure how I feel about the Cardinals. They're kind of meh. But I probably have CMC win that game and then have a close game against the Chargers. Because I'm still believing in the Chargers, even though the Chargers have been.
So let me ask you this question. Seahawks beat Chargers. Are they legit?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Chargers are a very good football team, even though they've struggled.
When is the season over, do you think, for a team? Especially a team that did not have great expectations. Like, what record are you like? You support tanking, correct? You're a tanker?
Well, so like I'm not gonna be like Dolphins level tanking, where I'm like, I am paying you to lose games. I'm just gonna I'm gonna make the team have the opportunity to win the games. Like you can win, and like I want to put young players first. So I won't have a lot of veterans. I'll have like I said, Geno Smith at QB. Let's see what happens. Okay, he's doing well. So, yes, I do support tanking because I want a higher draft pick. But it doesn't mean I'm going to, take a player out and go, you're playing too well. I want to lose.
Well, I think the Seahawks are happy where they are. Yeah, I think the Seahawks are happy where they are. And with you having such an old coach in Pete Carroll, I don't think they're trying to lose. I think they're actively trying to make the playoffs this year. Would you
And they
disagree?
also have a Broncos pick. So you have multiple picks. Like the
Oh,
thing
yeah,
is,
and the
accumulate
Broncos-
draft picks.
If you told me right now that the Seahawks finished with a better record than the Broncos, I would not be surprised. The Broncos are in one of the hardest divisions with a lot of good teams, and they've struggled offensively much more than the Seahawks. And sometimes, like this past week, you can outscore your problems. And that's what the Seahawks did. They're like, our defense sucks. We're just going to outscore our problems. And scored 48 points.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think I like what the Lions are doing. Like they have
Yes.
you have multiple draft picks, and there are only like defense is going to be an issue. They can solve a draft pick with that. Jared Goff is doing just fine. I don't touch the quarterback position for now. I don't mess with it till everything else is settled. Like, okay, I know I got playmakers here. And then my thing with QBs are sometimes a QB can be good. And some like Alex Smith, like I'm gonna do the Chiefs example. Alex Smith, good QB.
Very good.
Very good QB. What was the playoff success like with the Chiefs?
I feel like that's an unfair comparison because Travis Kelce was not what he was. Like, he was still good, but he wasn't this Travis Kelce. Also, they never really had an insane defense. All they had was Eric Berry, and they had some other good pieces, but they never really had an insane defense.
So, do you think when they faced the Bucs, they had an insane defense? The Chiefs with Mahomes.
Yeah, they have probably the third best defensive tackle in the league.
Now,
Chris Jones, yeah.
well,
The
I
only
thought Chris
two I put
Jones
above-
was still there. To
Yeah.
me, they then they make the switch with Mahomes, and I just think sometimes there are QBs where, for some reason, it doesn't work with them. Maybe it's a coaching issue, but then you get a different QB, and Mahomes and Reed just fit, and now they're incredible, and Mahomes is just at a different level.
Could you compare it to the Bucs with Brady instead of Winston? Because if you look at their defense, they didn't add much on defense that year they won.
That's a fair comparison. You change the QB, and it changes your team.
Obviously, they got Gronk. Obviously, they got Leonard Fournette. So they
That's
did make
really not-
moves.
Not
But
that
that's not worlds different. And their defense, I don't know if they added anybody besides Antoine Winfield. But that was a rookie, so it doesn't even count because they picked up a rookie.
Yeah, I think that's another good point. I just go to the Chiefs example because they found a QB through the draft. But maybe you
Okay,
could
then
do
the
a QB.
Patriots with Brady.
Well, yeah, the Patriots.
Literally, the team didn't change. Literally,
Well,
the
yeah.
team didn't change.
So that's like my view of a quarterback. Like, yeah, because they never got it done with Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
They made it to the Super Bowl. They couldn't win it. They didn't win it. Then you Brady. Yeah. So to me, there are just sometimes where, and it's with, we're going into a philosophical discussion here, but that's why I think quarterback should be one of the last things you do because of the contracts you have to give to a QB. That's just the way the market speaks, or the market sets the quarterback value. And now it's happening with wide receivers, but yeah.
Do you know who has the second worst net points this season in the NFC?
Net points like scored against them.
Net points is points for minus points against. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll go Lions.
No, the net points for the Lions is only -1. Like I said, they've scored
Oh, 'cause they
140. Yeah.
Ooh, let me
The
go
worst.
Rams.
The worst is the Commanders with -34. What team did you just say?
Rams.
Yeah, -24. Even though they're 2-2. But there's not many teams that are all that. The NFC only has 4 teams that are under 500. 4.
Nope.
Those teams are the Panthers, Lions, Saints, and Commanders. The Lions are -1 net, and the Panthers are -7 net.
Yeah, so the NFC, in my opinion, like there are many there's many people in the race. Like I still count the Rams in the race. I still count Bucks are definitely in the race. Packers.
Like I said, any
well, yeah.
team that makes the playoffs is a contender in the NFC. Here's why. Again, Seahawks make it. If the other team doesn't play a good defensive game, they could just outscore their defense.
Yeah. Now, if we want to talk about teams that can win the Super Bowl in the NFC, it dwindles.
Yeah, that's
2-3.
about,
Or 2.
you think 3?
So here's my thing. With the Rams, I could see him figuring out, like, hey, we didn't have a good start to the season. We're figuring it out. Okay, now we're going to know how to use Allen Robinson.
You know what?
Maybe they
I
make
have
a move.
4. I have 4. Okay, you want to hear mine?
Yes.
Bucks, Packers, Eagles, Cowboys.
Okay, I'm going to say no to Cowboys. You can make an argument for Eagles. I'm going to say no to Cowboys because no.
Why
I
no?
just can't.
Defense wins
Because-
championships.
But yes, but I just don't see them because they didn't win with last year's team. I think last year's team is a much better team overall than this year's team.
I'd argue the defense is better this year.
Defense is better this year, but the offense last year was better.
Again, defense wins championships. I believe if the Cowboys defense can play like we all know they can, and they play even above that, they could easily make the Super Bowl. If their defense plays possibly one of the best performances, which I think is possible with how
is.
good they're...
Possible. But it is, to me, it's just, I don't know. I'm skeptical of Cowboys because I just don't. Like, I don't think
Here's
they
the
could play
thing. Here's the
together.
thing. You're skeptical now, and I know playoff time. You're going to be
No, I'm not going to pick the Cowboys. I made my.
Not-
I'm learning from my mistake. It was a terrible. Yeah,
You were so confident last year.
I know, and I am learning from my mistake of like, okay, they look good now. Okay, we could possibly do it. Like our defense looks good. We could face the Packers. Blah blah blah. But then I'm like, I went through this same discussion last year, and I felt even better about it last year than this year. And they literally had the dumbest ending. Even before that, they had 2 tries with their offense, which was the best part of their team last year at home. And you have a chance to win the game with your offense. And I would have taken that. And they messed it up twice. So that's what, and to me, the Bucks, if they get healthy, like they're injured now, but if they get healthy,
And
near
the
end, they keep
defense,
going
again,
around. Yeah.
defenses win championships, and you have the greatest quarterback of all time on the other side. Yeah, they're always going to have a chance. I don't even care if they lose this week to the
Packers.
Falcons.
One of those wide receivers, I think Dobbs is becoming
Dobbs
one
is
of
playing
the
well.
favorites.
Lazard played well last week. Cobb is starting to look better.
and their defense is what they focused on, so it could work. So I would put Rams in instead of Cowboys just because you saw Stafford do it in the playoffs last year. And
Again, I think
haven't
Stafford
seen
can
that,
throw you out of games. Stafford can throw you out of games, and I don't trust
but
Stafford.
he can also win you those games, like he did.
He hasn't done enough for me.
Okay, and then so you think Dak has done enough for you?
To not throw you out of a game? Yes.
But to
I don't need Dak.
Game.
I don't need Dak to win this. That's not my point with the Cowboys. My point is the defense turns into the 2000 Ravens or the 2018 Patriots, and literally they steamroll every team because their defense is that good.
I think you have to at least rely on
You
the
don't.
QB. Then why didn't the
Trent
Rams
Dilfer won a championship. The reason why the Rams didn't win is because the Rams were going against the greatest quarterback of all time. So if you're going with defense versus defense, Jared Goff had the hill to climb is impossible. Eventually, the defense is going to break. If you give Tom Brady enough time in a close game, I don't care what defense is on the other side. Give him enough time, and he'll find that one play that is necessary for you to win the game, and that's exactly what he did with that pass to Gronk.
What about Eagles?
The
Yeah,
Eagles are
where-
the best team in the NFC.
No, the Eagles. No, I mean the Eagles when they beat Brady in the Super Bowl.
That was because the Patriots defense turned into Swiss cheese.
Okay, I was gonna say it was just Nick Foles doing Nick Foles magic.
Brady
like,
had
he
the
made some
greatest.
play.
Brady had the greatest QB game of all time in the Super Bowl. Over 500 yards.
But he didn't win.
Because his defense played horrendous. That's why everyone's like, "Oh, Tom Brady's defense is the reason why he won the championship in 2018." I'm like, the defense is also why they lost in 2017. So I don't want to hear the argument about, "Oh, Tom Brady got a free championship ring against the Rams." Yeah, he also got one stolen because, again, his defense played horrendous because Malcolm Butler was not playing that game, even though he was playing really well that season because he had a disagreement with Coach Belichick and Belichick sat him out, which I believe was a terrible decision. And the fact that Bill Belichick was actually that petty to do that, I think, again, it's quarterbacks is not all you need to rely on to win a championship, in my opinion. But when you're going against the GOAT, it does change the game.
Okay, I think quarterbacks can make a difference, which is why. But I want to hear your argument for the Eagles, and then we'll probably end it.
Defense really good. Offense is extremely versatile. It's hard to say right now, but the Eagles may have the best wide receiver duo in the league. A.J. Brown plus Devontae Smith is insane.
Who would go against that?
Maybe Godwin and Evans when they're fully healthy.
That is, when healthy though.
Thielen and Jefferson. Jefferson's had some social games. So is Thielen, but there's been
Can I
also
throw
games.
in Adams and Renfro.
Renfro's been out for most of the year. Adams has had some lackluster games. If we're talking about based on performance, no, you can't because Renfro's been out. But if you're talking about like expected, if I could choose a wide receiver duo to be on my team, I would choose A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That it's current duo,
Yeah,
obviously. I can't just take.
If I could go into the past, like last year, I would pick Cooper, or a wide receiver trio of Cooper, Gallup, and Lamb, but which you could have had this year. But by the way, also I said stuff about the Eagles before the season. I had them winning the division. Someone had another team winning the division.
Yeah, you also didn't have the Eagles with a great record or anything.
No, I thought they were going to be good. It's just like I didn't think they'd do. They've done better than I thought they would. Like where I'm like, I don't think some people were like they can be.
I didn't trust their defense enough.
Okay.
I was wrong. I can admit I'm wrong. But the reason why I trusted their offense to be decent, but I didn't think they were going to look. Eagles are a great running team, and they're always going to be a better running team because of Jalen Hurts than I think there will be a passing team. Because Jalen Hurts is a better runner than he is a passer per QB standards. And if you're down, you lose that ability, which is why Brady almost came back against the Chiefs with only 6 rushing attempts for like 4 yards because he can just dominate the game passing-wise. And I don't know if the Eagles, even with those, like I said, great 2 wide receivers and a great tight end in Dallas Goedert, I don't think they have the passing volatility to lead them. But again, I may be wrong.
But they make up for it with A.J. Brown.
Let me put it this way. The Eagles are the only team with no clear wide receiver 1.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Look, another duo that I think is also doing really well, at least the past couple weeks, is also Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. DK had 149 yards last week.
Oh, yeah. And he had a special cart for the back.
Yeah.
Which is fun. But yeah, I don't think you're totally... No, I see your point with the Eagles. And like we both agreed on Bucks.
And Packers. Yeah.
Enough said there. Like Packers, like you've been in the NFC Championship 3 times. You should move forward, but they have the opportunity to move forward versus teams that have not been there before. But I think we're good. I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Soon we're going to be doing our MLB postseason predictions and reviewing our season prediction before, so tune into that one when it comes out.